All right, we're about to see the standard good old liberal media give the one Republican on the stage some grief, if you will. Give him some shit. Question him on logic that everybody understands, but, well, you'll see.
But I think the big issue...
We license automobiles, why don't we license guns?
Let's talk solutions for a minute here.
We license automobiles, why don't we license guns?
We license owners and carriers and people who have permits associated with guns. But let's talk solutions here for a second. I've been saying for a long time that if we're really serious about gang violence and we're really serious about the drug violence in a lot of our urban communities, I've talked to a bunch of DAs and local law enforcement officials about this, and one of the things they say they would like to see the state do, which the state hasn't, is they would like to see the state figure out some way to make it hard for relatives of gang members and other people who are involved in intimidating witnesses and jurors to end up in courtrooms where they can intimidate people who are trying to participate in the trial process. And all we really need to do on this one is mandate that if you want to show up in court, you have to sign in. And once you sign in, the people in the courtroom have the ability to pursue whether or not there are any outstanding warrants on you. This is a fight. We need to treat it like that.
It's not rocket science how to stop the violence in these communities, as the governor was saying, that this is where poverty and hopelessness come together. And I think, that's another reason where, the priorities on Beacon Hill have just not been in the right place. So the same edition of the Boston Globe that talked about the $200 million that the governor's office was looking for a few good developers to make these grants to, also contained an article a few pages earlier about how we could not afford $500,000 for community policing liaisons, which had done a very good job of containing the gang violence. So it's about investments in our community. It's about schools, which aren't simply about high-stakes testing, which is a great way to drive these kids out of their schools. We need to be teaching to the whole child, to the whole student, and addressing the upstream barriers to learning as well, and providing the athletics, the arts, the music programs, the after school, and the jobs. That's how we address violence.
Can I just say, I was out in Mattapan after the killing of the 4 folks that you referred to, including that 2-year-old, and I sat with the mayor and others with the family. First of all, of all the surprises in the job, I never expected to sit with folks and comfort them on the loss of 14-year-olds and 2-year-olds. But I'm telling you that the choices that we have made to invest in education, in healthcare, and in job creation are choices for that community too. They are not about abstract policy issues, they're about people, and about trying to respond to the hopelessness that folks feel. They weren't sitting there saying, where's my program? They're saying, where is the sense of community? How do we reconnect that? How do we rebuild that? And in order to make that better, stronger community, we've got to be about making sure a great school is within reach of every child, making sure that folks have an opportunity to get back to work, and making sure that we treat health as a public good.
So Val Patrick, I saw a poll that 70% of Massachusetts residents would favor an Arizona kind of immigration law.
Yes.
Do you favor Massachusetts police being allowed to ask people to show they're here legally and detain them if they're not?
I do not favor an Arizona type law in Massachusetts. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong for Massachusetts. Now, I think that illegal immigration is a serious national problem. It requires and deserves a serious national solution. And I can tell you here at the local level, we have a whole host of rules and laws that we enforce today to make sure that people who are eligible for public benefits are the only ones who get it.
What state services should be extended to illegal immigrants?
Well, I can tell you ones that are right now. By federal law, emergency health services are extended to everybody. If there's someone who is an undocumented person and has tuberculosis, they get services in our hospitals so that it doesn't jeopardize the health of the rest of us.
Charlie Baker, do you favor Massachusetts police being allowed to ask people to show they're here legally?
I think the Arizona law is probably more than we need, but the bottom line is the governor got rid of the executive order that Mitt Romney put in place to create a sort of deputized group of state police officers who could work directly with Immigration Naturalization Service on issues associated with crime and illegal immigration. He didn't sign the MOU that would have made it possible for all of the cities in Massachusetts to access federal databases around this when they arrest people committing crimes. It's been working in Boston.
MOU, you gotta help me.
Memorandum of Understanding between the Obama administration and the Patrick administration. Boston's been doing it for 4 years. The mayor thinks it's been a big success. Ed Davis thinks it's been a big success. I don't know why the governor won't sign it. And there was a very reasonable, common sense piece of legislation that passed the Senate 26-11 that would have put in place exactly the kinds of, I believe, common sense reforms around illegal immigration that most people in Massachusetts would like to see. And that would have passed the legislature and made it to the governor's desk if the governor had supported it. I would support that bill and I would sign that bill. It was a good bill.
Jim Gale?
Yeah, I would give the police the tools that they need. If they pull somebody over, someone's broken the law, then they need to, that's part of their police duty, and other states do it, and I think that it's one way to control lawless illegal immigration. People who are here breaking laws need to be held accountable, and I think the police need to be able to use that as part of their tools. They cannot just enforce some laws but not enforce other laws.
I think if we go that route, then we create a climate of fear in the immigrant community, and we create a wall between the immigrant community and law enforcement, and that's very dangerous. I don't think we want to create a lawless zone.
Does it surprise you that 70% of the people in the state would favor an Arizona kind of law?
No, absolutely not, because these are hard times, and regrettably, you know, it's easy for people to be encouraged to turn on each other and to get the little fish to fight with each other. I think if we're talking about laws, we should be looking at the laws that were broken on Wall Street, the laws that were broken by the mortgage lenders, including very recently with the lawless foreclosures that have been going on. That's what's really contributing to the hardships that people are undergoing.
I just wanted to second an observation Jill just made about creating a climate of fear and the concerns we ought to have about that around law enforcement as well. You know, 4 out of 5 of the immigrants here in the Commonwealth are here legally, fully documented, and the notion that they would get swept up in this eagerness to lead folks to turn on each other instead of to each other, I think is a big mistake for us, and we ought to show the kind of caution and restraint that we have in this administration as we approach this.
I was in Brockton a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to some folks who own businesses in Brockton, small businesses, immigrants, legal, here. And they believe they live in a climate of fear. And they believe they live in a climate of fear because the state has not been anywhere near as aggressive as it should be in working directly with locals to deal with some of the issues, especially around gangs and drugs. And they said point blank to me that a number of the folks who are ringleaders in some of these operations, they know for a fact are here illegally, and we're not using any of the tools that are available to us as a state to get them out. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, that climate of fear, you know, the people who play by the rules, let's go back to where I started. I want the people who play by the rules to believe that they are going to get our first.
I think that's an extraordinary thing. The state police gang unit is almost full-time at Brockton while working on these very issues. And they, together with this entire administration, has a very good working relationship with the immigration authorities, and folks who are convicted are turned over to ICE. So I'm not sure who it is you're talking to in Brockton, but I can tell you that the state police are very active there, and they are there on my order.
Yeah, I just want to say something. The 4 out of 5
Bullshit!
legal documented immigrants here in the state shouldn't have anything to fear by us rooting out or having police root out those who are here illegally, and I think they want us to do that because they've played by the rules. They've come in here the right way. If the federal government doesn't step up on this one policy, then we will have people turning on legal immigrants, and that will be wrong.
I'm getting down to the end here, so I want to get some quick comments from you on these questions. Ballot question number 3: roll back the state income tax from 6 1/4. Sales tax from 6 1/4 to 3%. I know you all oppose it, but it could pass. You got a big deficit to deal with. It would probably double your deficit to about $5 billion. How would you deal with it? And would you promise not to raise other taxes or fees to make up the difference?
I don't think there's any way to deal with it but to take it across the top, and it would be a calamity. Now, we are always, any of us, in good times and bad, under responsibility and an obligation to the public, to always look for efficiencies, try to squeeze out. That's why we've consolidated 20-plus agencies. We've shut down the Turnpike Authority. We have to be about that. But this would be a calamity. And another point I want to make is, though we all oppose it, at least Charlie's fiscal policies would have exactly the same impact. So this is another example, I think, of saying one thing and offering something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I oppose it for that reason, that I don't have a plan as to how we would address it, except that I would address it. We'd have to cut everything. I don't think anything would be off the table, local aid. I wouldn't commit to raising other taxes, but there's no question at the local level to make up the difference.
But
It would
fees?
probably be, no. No, fees are high enough as they are already.
All right, Charlie Baker.
I believe we should be reducing taxes, okay? I think that's an important part of getting our population back to work, and after 8 tax increases over the last 4 years, you've got plenty of people out there who believe correctly that they are being asked to pay over and over and over again for what they perceive to be a lack of
This point for
efficient
cutting taxes, but
government.
I'm asking about this tax.
No, but I think this is too much and too fast. But fundamentally, we need to be reducing our tax burden in Massachusetts if we want to get people back to work. That's
Are you
fundamental.
for it or against it? I don't hear what you're saying in there.
No, I'm against it because it's too much too fast. But I do believe we need to reduce taxes. And
Five
if it passed,
would have exactly the same impact.
5%,
Same
but if you
2.5
cut back to 5%, you got another $1 billion in your deficit.
right? And look, I think we need to reduce our tax burden. And I've said that ever since I got into this race. And that's why I put serious proposals on the table to reduce state
But you're just
spending.
saying, you're just challenging the governor on facing a 2 to 2.5, maybe even $3 billion deficit. If you cut back the sales tax at all, you're going to increase that deficit.
And I think we need to reduce taxes.
I've heard
And I'm
that.
waiting for the governor to put forth a proposal on what he's planning. The governor's only proposal, from what I can tell, to deal with the current $2 billion problem is going to be to raise taxes. And that's
You've
exactly
never
the
heard
wrong
that
message to
proposal.
send.
You've
That's
never heard that
exactly-
proposal from me. You've been saying that for 15 months, and you've never heard that from me.
What I've
You've
seen,
never heard.
Governor, is somebody who's proposed a tax increase every single year you've been governor, including the first year when the unemployment rate was 5%.
Charlie?
Somebody who talked 2 weeks ago when you got asked, will I raise taxes? Oh, excuse me, when are taxes going to stop going up? Your answer was, well, maybe we need a progressive income tax. And that's
Wrong.
exactly the wrong message. to
Wrong
give to
again.
businesses.
Wrong
That's not a
again.
wrong
He's
governor.
not wrong.
It's exactly
That's what you
wrong.
said.
I was there. I know what I said. You were not.
I've seen the video.
Well, you should watch it all instead of just an out of context clip. We've got to be
Bullshit.
about some very, very hard choices, no matter who wins, no matter what. And my view is that we should be making the kinds of choices that will give us growth and make a better Commonwealth. And that is what we have done, and that is why revenue is coming back. And I'm very proud of that. You know, not everything in Massachusetts is bad. There's a lot good happening right now. And the fact that
But we do need to bring the possible government.
Whoa, class. Whoa.